Makers la mette in mezzo, bella tiro, gol! Luka Modric ha segnato Luka, ecco il gol del maestro.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony, the inconsolable Torgrud.
Yeah, they mounted me last week, so it's over. Scudetto.
No crazy
done.
horse, still mounted.
Yeah.
And we got Bdair here as well. Sum up your emotion in one word because I've run out of vocab.
Unsurprised.
Okay, good. Yeah, I like that. We've got a big episode here. I mean, look, we seem to be going peaks and troughs at the moment in terms of the season, in terms of the Scudetto chances and everything. And it's taken a downturn over the weekend with our defeat to Lazio in Rome, which we are going to recap. And we're going to preview the home game against Torino, which isn't even last chance saloon anymore, is it? Let's face it, the trainer's left most likely. And that's the last game before the international break. I mistakenly said last week that the international break was coming after the... but I'm sure that it's later this time.
No,
I
it's
feel
after
like...
Torino.
It's after Torino.
Yeah. But I said last week that it came after the game against Lazio, and I got that wrong. But I think it's because it normally falls on my girlfriend's birthday weekend, does the international break, because we get to plot a trip to wherever we're playing. But this time it really is like the very last weekend in March. But anyway, before we dive in to the episode in full, plug in the Substack, where the most recent pub chat went up with Stefano and Lorenzo. They spoke about the situation involving Leao and Pulisic. Of course, we're going to speak about it too, but they went into it in depth for 40 minutes about just how it's not clicking. Allegri designated them as the first choice pairing going into pre-season and into the season. Of course, they haven't had a run of starts together really at any point prior to the past few weeks, and now we've seen a greater sample size. Everything points towards the fact that it just isn't working between them. They talk about why, what the future could hold for both of them. So yeah, go check that out. The post-game reaction came from Lorenzo on Sunday night. He had a bit of a rant about various aspects of our performance, as we are going to do as well. So go check that out too. The most recent bonus podcast that me and you did, AJ, was about, well, I called it the Allegri and Wall in the end. Why we have the best defensive record in Europe. Now, it didn't hold up on Sunday night, as it turned out. We still do. We're level with Arsenal, but we've got a better goals per game average still. So
I think they have one more goal scored or conceded than us.
Well, they were one above us, and then we conceded one, and they didn't at the weekend. So I think we're tied on 21 each now.
They have 22.
Get in. So we're still number one defense in Europe. God bless Allegri's boys. We spoke about all the improvements in the defensive phase and what the evolution might look like in terms of who could arrive in the summer to really fortify it and make sure that it's ready for European competitions, presuming we don't collapse and magically finish 7th, which you can't rule out at this point. There's a newsletter in there too, which speaks about the topics of the week, and in there's a bulletin that recaps the main news too. All right, then let's go. This was big, wasn't it?
Yeah.
As it turned out, and I'll tell you why. Because Inter played first on Saturday afternoon. Inter did not win against Atalanta. Now, we said on the podcast last week that the Scudetto chances could go from a few percent to like 50% if things went right this weekend. The first part of the bargain was held up as Atalanta managed to get a point against Inter in a game full of controversy, which I don't think we should go into, but it would have been funny, had we taken advantage of that. But we did not. We went to Lazio, and for the second time this season, the other time being in the Coppa Italia, we lost 1-0 to a Maurizio Sarri side. And I'd say a Sarri tactical display that was effectively him beating Milan at their own game. Got to hold your hands up and say fair fucks, I guess. I don't know. Where do you want to start?
I won't do it. Well, I do actually want to go to the Inter thing because they're still crying about the goal that they conceded, saying it was a foul and all that. It wasn't. It was a dive. It was blatant. The irony is we conceded almost the exact same goal just on the opposite side of the pitch against Lazio. And none of us are complaining because we know the rules of the game and we understand that it is a goal and that it was not a foul. And That's what separates us from them. They cry, even though they still gained a point on us this week. Fuck them.
I was going to say there's something else that separates us from them, but
yeah.
It's 8 points.
About 8 points.
Yeah. Do you know what? Let me quickly. I've normally got my resources prepared at the bottom, but let me just quickly get the starting 11 up for this game. So there were a couple of doubts going into it. The first of which was with Adrien Rabiot being suspended, who would replace him on the left side of the midfield? The choice fell on Adon Yashari. Don't think any of us really had a problem with that. I personally preferred him over Samuel Ricci in a game like this. And then it was whether you put Davide Bartesaghi back in at left wing back, or you go with the. I wrote a feature about it. I like in basketball they say the hot hand fallacy, like where you just go with what's working there and you presume that the same is going to be the case in the future. Allegri hasn't done that this season. You look at like Yashari's had a couple of good starts and then he's benched and doesn't come on for the next 2 games. Atakame was doing well when Salamakers was out, but Salamakers goes straight back in at the first opportunity. The front 2 as well, you could make an argument about whenever he's been able to play them, he's just thrown them straight in. So basically, Allegri normally sticks with his convictions over going with good recent form. Now, granted, it's 1 game, but it was a big moment for Estupinian in the derby. But he got the start in this one over on the left side. I suppose we're looking at it with the benefit of hindsight and a team that as a unit didn't really work. But I can't say that I was outraged when the team was announced.
Yeah, look, I mean, the hot hand, like you said. Estupinian is not someone I'm going to cheer for. It never has been. Obviously, I celebrated his goal against Inter for obvious reasons. But when he was named to this 11, I said, okay, I get why. It's not my preferred choice. I think I still would have went Bartesaghi. And I think I might have even said that on the bonus or something when we discussed predicted 11s. I think I still said I'd pick Bartesaghi, but I was okay with the Estupinian naming just because he did well against Inter. He did very well actually against Henrique. And then, Isaacson dog walked him. He looked like it was his first time on a field before, like not even a football pitch, just grass in general. He never seen it before. It was crazy. Honestly, one of the worst performances I've ever seen from him, which is saying a lot, but just in general, he was really bad. Jashari was a guy that I was fully supporting. I said, it's going to be Ricci, but I'd like it to be Jashari because to date, he had not put in a single bad performance, in my opinion. Well, he did it. This was horrible. He should not have been out there. I don't know what it is, but Lazio were up for this game, man. The Ultras came back for the first time all season. Their social media team was, talking about same shirt, same goal or whatever. Like they were so up for this game that it made me think, wait a minute, is this a rivalry? Like, do we care about Lazio? Because
it's
really
almost as if Lazio are historically twinned with Inter because of their similar right-wing beliefs in the Ultras section.
Yeah, I mean, whatever we want to do, I don't know, but it was very odd how up for it they were, because I certainly wasn't. I thought this was going to be a cakewalk. I thought easy game. They have a crazy injury crisis, including their Provedel, their goalkeeper, and in my opinion, their best player in Ravella and who's the other big name that they had out? There was another one.
Romagnoli was out. They basically didn't have a midfield, and they had to play Patrick, who is a defender.
Patrick, who is another guy I thought was
Cataldi.
not. Yeah, Cataldi was out. Patrick is someone I thought was not good, and he pocketed us. Anytime he was near anyone, it was over. Look, this was the antithesis of what I thought was going to happen. Every single matchup, I said, we have the advantage, and we lost every single matchup. In terms of, the Leao Pulisic debate, I don't know how many more times I could come on this podcast and say they can't be the starting strike pair together. They just don't work. And I think people are starting to see it. Unfortunately, now we have 2 camps within the Milan fan base, and it's Leao's the reason behind the issues, or Pulisic's the reason behind the issues. And I don't think it's either one of them. And in this specific game, I lean towards Pulisic as the issue, not making those passes, because Leao was making runs. Like they complained about him not getting his first touch till the 14th minute. Go back and watch those first 14 minutes. He was consistently making run in behind the defenders, and he wasn't getting service. It's as simple as that. So I'm not blaming him. Yeah, he could drop back, but that's not where he's going to excel. We know that. We've seen him almost a decade now. We know dropping back is not where he's going to burst out and beat defenders. He might do it once or twice, but it's just not realistic. So all of that to say, the lineup was not good. On paper, we all thought it was good. In actuality, it was not good.
Yeah, it's the lineup I would have picked, and like Anthony said, everyone. Like I don't think there was a single respectable. Maybe Pavlovic in the second half, maybe De Winter a little bit, but that was and Mike, I guess, whatever. But like there was not a single respectable performance overall. Everybody was the worst version of themselves. Everybody's biggest flaws came to fruition. I was most disappointed in Jashari because the whole season we've been like, okay, he doesn't pick him because he thinks Ricci and Fofana and previously Loftus-Cheek like have a bigger physical advantage. And we had talked about the fact that when Jashari has been on the field, I haven't seen him like be physically outmatched, right? Well, this was the game where they just really took advantage of him. They were able to slow him down in every action, and when they slowed him down and they were able to set their defense, I mean, we had nothing. We had absolutely nothing to try to break them down. And it's the same. I mean, we end up talking the front two. We end up talking about the same thing every time, and both things are right. Are they compatible? Are they doing great together? Like, no. Do you want Fulkrug and Nkunku on the field? No.
No.
It's just like it's a question. Ultimately, I still say like next week put them together, and the week after that put them together, because I'm like, whatever, man. If somebody, I don't care if they have no chemistry. If somebody's gonna, whack in a shot from 20 yards, it sure as hell is not gonna be Nkunku. It's not gonna be. It's definitely not gonna be Fulkrug. So it's like, whatever, man. Just put them on the field. But it's useless. It's useless. The formation doesn't fit. They don't work together. Fofana's not particularly jumping up and down either, if you believe his quote, depending on how you interpret the quotes, because apparently there's two different translations and so on. It is what it is. We've known that the 3-5-2 was a sacrifice, right? Was an understanding of limitations. And I think I've seen a lot of fans like, why does Allegri persist with this formation? Like, how does he? It's like, I don't. But people talk about it like he's an idiot. Like he doesn't. Like there isn't a thought process behind us playing like this. Do you think he doesn't not know that Leao is best at left winger? He doesn't not know that Pulisic is best on the right or on the left or whatever, right? He's not completely oblivious to these facts. He's taking in the full squad context, right? And he's thinking this is what's going to get the most results, and he's been absolutely right? Like what he has failed to do is build a team that's good enough to win the title, but he's certainly built a team that's good enough to elevate past what we were last season and consistently be in the top four. So he's at least done his job technically if you look at what we set out early in the season. But I don't like that people say, listen, if next week they say, okay, let's try a 4-3-3, because again, to me, there's nothing to lose at this point. We might as well try to actually. We have to figure out a formula that looks like a competent title-winning team, right? It's not going to happen this season, but if we continue playing 3-5, if we play 3-5-2 next year, that's another season of saying, unless there's complete overhaul in the squad, obviously. But with this core group of players, if we play 3-5-2 next year, it's us saying we're not really competing for the title. We just want to be top four again, right? We have to find a formula that makes us look like a better team. I get it. Cortomuso doing all that shit, that's cool. And again, we keep saying these things about Allegri like he's a character, right? At the end of the day, for 90% of those Juve seasons, for 90% of his Milan seasons, those teams looked great, right? They played great football. Like, it's a myth that Juve just used to show up at places and play behind the ball when they had Tevez and Dybala and Bonucci. And like, no, this is just not what was happening. They were out there and they were on the front foot and they were scoring 100 goals a season and they were putting up 100-point seasons. Like, it's not this idea that, Allegri plays defensive football all the time. It's not true. We don't have to stereotype him that way. Allegri plays whatever he thinks the squad is capable of. So I agree with him that this is probably what this squad is capable of. But what the system that we play right now is not capable of winning a title. And I also will never believe that this is a guy who's here, let's say 3 years, and every year of that he's saying, oh no, well, we want top four. Top four is the goal. There's no way he's here for that. There's no way. This is a 6-time Serie A winner. He's not here. The first year, yes, we can all accept. Like, we were 8th, and we got to get back in top 4. We got to get in Champions League, whatever. But it only gets harder from here, right? It only gets more games, more pressure, more stress, whatever. And we'll need to do well in the Champions League. It's like going out in the group stage or whatever is going to be another disaster, and we can't afford that either. So it's only going to be more difficult. There's a lot that needs to be worked out, and this system, despite that it's good for now, is not what's going to get us what we need next season.
Yeah, I think you're right in everything you said. Honestly, all of it. I don't think I could have said it better. My issue is still we're not getting goals, right? Like, we know this. We need more goals. This might be the first time genuinely in history, and I'd have to find a way to check this, that the team with the best defensive record in the top 5 European leagues doesn't win a title. Has that ever happened? Like, I've seen the best defensive record not win their
Arsenal last
title.
year had a ridiculous defensive record, didn't they, and didn't win it.
Keep going.
Was it best in Europe? Yeah. Because I'm genuinely curious. I don't know. And that tells me, okay, we needed to be harder to beat. Everyone knew that. We were letting in goals left and right last season, and even the year prior. We tried to play some stupid ultra-attacking, no to defense style that obviously didn't work for anyone, because you can't score goals that way either. But at what point do we just say, hey, let's go for it? You know, I think back to one of the final Allegri seasons at Juve. There was a game that went viral, and I don't remember who they were playing, but they were behind. And they were behind for a while. That basically exactly like this Lazio game. Went behind early, and as the game stretched on in the second half, they couldn't find an equalizer. And he subbed off Ronaldo for either a midfielder or a center back. And as Ronaldo was coming off, he said something along the lines of, like, you're afraid to win, you're shitting your pants, or something like that. And I get that, because Ronaldo's got that win at all cost mentality. Not that Allegri doesn't, but it was his way of saying, hey, we need a win. Let's go for it. Losing 2-0 versus 1-0 makes no fucking difference. So let's put on another attacker. Let's put some balls in the box. And that is my main criticism of this system with Allegri right now, is when we were 1-0 down, we took off our best attacking output. And sure, it was technically a like for like, taking Leao off and bringing Fulkrug and Nkunku on. But then actually, to his credit, he changed the formation to something more attacking. So maybe this whole point is moot. But it just seems like he consistently is doing that. Because to me, if I'm going, okay, we need to switch to a more attacking formation, I'm not taking off Leao. I'm leaving Leao on until he drops dead, because he's the guy. He's the difference maker. Whether he was getting service or not this game, if you give him the opportunity to play as a left winger against a team like Lazio, knowing what's at stake here, this is a guy who's Milan through and through. You see it constantly, whether people want to admit it or not. He's here to win for this club. Like, Leao's a guy who can make a difference, especially when you put in even Fulkrug in the middle, and let that be a trident, a top 3, and then maybe you do take off Tomori. Maybe you take off a center back, because what difference does it make if you lose by 2? I don't care about having the best defense in Europe if it means we're finishing second. You know, I want to win. Like, I think I said it last season. None of us know when we're going to die, so I'm not looking towards the future. I don't want to see a project for season 4. I want to see this season. I want us to win games now. I want to celebrate now. I want to be happy now. So let's win. I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. It just, and I do think the subs were wrong. I think I'm sorry. The subs were correct in the sense that he took off the right people, taking off Estupinian for Bartazagi. That needed to happen, but it needed to happen earlier. I think that could have been a halftime change. I think Salamakers was really bad. He could have taken him off for Atakame much earlier, because when those two came on, Bartazagi and Atakame, we were attacking. We looked good. Fulkrug, I probably would have left on the bench. Maybe Nkunku as a center forward doesn't move me either, but that's our option. You know, you put him in there. Go ahead.
I looked it up. It's been 7 years since the best defense didn't win the league.
It was like best defense in Europe?
In Europe, top 5 leagues, yeah. The best defense has won the league the last 7 years. Wow. 8 years ago, Liverpool had the best defense by 1 goal, and they finished second to City. But for the past 7 years, between Inter, Napoli last year, Madrid one of the years, Barca, even Lille. Lille had the best defense in Europe's top 5 leagues, and they won the league against PSG, and so on. So yeah, I actually never put that together. That was a really good job.
Look at me. I did something right. Well, no, I was still wrong because I said it never happened. But hey,
Well, no,
yeah,
but I'm saying, but 7 years is crazy. Like
It
7
is.
straight years of the best defense. And if I went past that, it probably has happened like 14 of the last 15 or something crazy. Like I didn't keep going, but
I mean, there's a
Yeah.
reason people say defense wins championship, right? Like it is
'Cause it usually
one of the most
does.
important things.
it usually does.
But
I've
the
never
up-
put that together, honestly.
The other side of that coin is you still need to score goals. Like you,
Yeah.
getting
I
36
just-
draw or 38 draws isn't going to win you a league. That's going to get you relegated, right? Like you
I
have
just
to win some
looked,
games.
and Inter have scored 65 goals this season. Nobody's anywhere close to that. But we know that they've put some shit teams to the sword, which we've been unable to do. So that's probably a mark against us in that sense. But we've scored 44 goals this season and let in 21. Napoli have scored 45, so similar ballpark, but they've let in 30. Como have scored 48, so again, they're not a million miles away, and have let in 22, but of course have won 2 less games. So we're right in amongst that chasing pack. Like, it's not as if we've scored 1 goal per game, but at the same time, it has often been the case that when we've needed a goal, we've relied on chaos rather than anything. But what I will say, and you two have gone off there, I don't have a problem with any of it. I just don't. I cannot find myself to be angry with anything about this game other than the way that we played in the opening half an hour. So I think the 3-5-2 has proven itself to be fine, and it's getting the most out of the players that we have at the moment. I understand all this talk of an evolution about throwing caution to the wind and playing a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1, whatever for the last few games of the season. Don't do it. Top 4 spot is not locked up yet by any means, and our greatest strength is, unfortunately, the fact that we're playing with the midfield 3 and 3 centre-backs who are all doing okay in their own right. As for next season, that's a whole other discussion, but I don't see him going away from it much, to be honest. I don't really have much of a problem with the changes that were made, because he wasn't going to change the formation from the start, right? So all we could do really was gear up during the game, and I think we did that. I think he made attacking changes and he tried to go more direct. We ended the game, we went 4-3-3, and it tweaked again a little bit to a 4-2-3-1-y type thing, and then we ended with the 4-2-4. Like, I don't really know much more, like what more you can do with that. And I think sometimes, and this is the last bit of credit that I'll give a club that I don't really like, I think sometimes you have to hold your hands up to and say, yeah, Lazio were fired up for this. This was their performance of the season. The home atmosphere was intimidating. Now, yeah, of course, the players should be able to perform, what have you, but there were some players in that Lazio team who were depleted because of injuries and seemed to rally in the face of adversity that were fucking monsters. Mm-hmm. Like, we could have played for 3 games and not scored a goal because they just looked possessed for whatever reason. Now, whether Sarri got them fired up, because we know about the Allegri beef and stuff, if that's Mario Gila's audition ahead of the summer, my God, pay 30, 40 million, whatever they need.
We're not getting him if that's his
No,
audition.
he's going to Atletico Madrid or something, I've read today.
It was
so
unbelievable.
He was amazing, but not just him. Profsgaard did an amazing job, and he's 21, and he's played. I think he started 7 games this season.
Even
Maricic
the keeper.
The keeper Motta was amazing. I mean, he had one big save to make, which was that one on Pulisic, which he clawed away. It was really good. But Patrick in midfield, he was not a midfielder, but he looked like a natural regista. Deli Bashiru, really useful threat on the counter. I remember watching him at Sheffield Wednesday and thinking, that's strange how careers go. Daniel Maldini as a striker did a good job. Like, he did a job for that team when there were 3 or 4 strikers on the bench, from like Tijani Noslin, Cancellieri, who were on the bench but clearly not in Sarri's eyes either ready to play, fit enough to play, whatever it was. He did a job there. We know that Zaccagni has been a thorn in our side before. I think he's got 8 goal contributions against us. And Isaacson, we've been linked with him before, and he was the one who had the match-winning moment. Sometimes you have to hold your hands up and say, fuck, we ran into a really good performance there. And I think we did generate volume. We didn't generate much quality, but we haven't all season. Usually volume has been enough to kind of get us over the line. But I don't have a massive... I am not saying that this was a disastrous performance. It was a disastrous result in the context of everything that comes around it. But I think we were just beaten by the better and more determined and more organised side on the day. I mean, speaking of more organised, this is what I have a problem with. Not the only thing, but the big thing that I have a problem with is how you end up in this position after 25 minutes, because we've become used to sort of deploying a more conservative approach, especially in the big games at home and away from home. And yet you allow yourself, I think we played a deliberately high line in this game to try and squeeze the pitch and try keep their front three as far away from goal as possible, because that was how they were going to try and hurt us in transition. And what do you know? They did. We leave Isaacson isolated against Estupiñán. Now, this is an individual error. Make no mistakes about it. Estupiñán plays the ball, not the man. You're told to do the other way around. He slips at the vital moment as well, with a little hand on the back, but it's never a foul in a million years. And Isaacson races through. I don't have the screenshot, but this is majority of this blame. Of the blame for this one goes on Estupiñán for losing that battle. I'm also apportioning, though, quite a lot of blame to how you're allowing that open field space like that at that point in the game, especially given that Lazio had been on top to that point. It wasn't as if we were peppering their goal, pushing for that opener. Right. They'd hit the bar with Kenneth Taylor. I think they hit the post as well. They were on top at this point, and they looked the more likely to score. And yet you allow this situation in transition.
This was like the third or fourth time that this exact play had worked for Lazio.
Yeah.
Estupiñán and Isaacson were together one-on-one multiple times, and every single time Isaacson was faster. He was ahead of him. He was able to outmuscle him. Danny Maldini did it to all of our center backs as well. It's a wonder he didn't score, honestly, because he should have.
Honestly, that's De Vinter's toughest battle that he's had since he came into the team. Genuinely, and maybe that's what comes with having been a midfielder or whatever. He knows the positions to take up. He knows the body movements and stuff. But yeah, De Vinter the pitch looked a bit slippy. I'm not going to lie. He slipped on a couple of occasions. Thought De Vinter's in trouble here, and then Estupiñán obviously slips for the goal. But I just don't understand what the assignments are where you've got, as we talk about Pavlovic and how he usually finds himself too far upfield, you look at him sprinting back here, but it's a very dangerous break in transition, and bit of a hot/lukewarm take. Maignan should do better with the goal because he has a narrow angle on the right-hand side and he stays rooted to his line, which I thought was strange. He should come out and narrow the angle even further. He actually gets a hand to it down by his side and it just nestles in the corner. So while it's only a small percentage of the blame, I think Maignan could have done better too.
Yeah, my issue is more what you said in the beginning is how we end up in that position. I think, I get the high line idea, stretching them, whatever, that's fine. It makes sense. But when you see that their strategy is not what you thought it was, it's just long balls over the top to the guy with fucking cheetah legs, maybe we change it up. Maybe we don't sit at the halfway line, right? Maybe we don't allow him to be one-on-one with one of our slowest fullbacks. We didn't change that until 60 minutes passed. And constantly, every single attack, not every, but I'd say 80% of them came from a long ball over the top. And that's my biggest criticism of Milan right now. Where are the long balls? We haven't had them in a while. Even Modric, someone who can place the ball anywhere you want him to on the pitch, they're all taking the short pass. They're rarely making that final pass into attacking positions. They're not making the over the top. They're not cutting lines. They're just making that short pass and hoping that they could Tetris their way up as they continue to build. And I guess to an extent it's working because we're getting a lot of shots. I mean, I look at the stats here. We had more in every shooting category than Lazio, with the exception of they hit the woodwork more, and they obviously scored. But we had 17 shots to their 7. We had 12 shots inside the box and 0 goals. That's ridiculous. That tells me that we're not even thinking, we're just, ball hit, and just shoot it. And it's hitting a defender. It's going out wide. Like, how are we not on target inside? If we have 12 shots inside the box, why do we only have 3 shots on target in the whole game? That doesn't add up to me. That's weird. When you have 17 shots and 3 on target, you go, okay, 15 of those were for, just Hail Marys outside the box. But no, they're inside the box. They are right there. And he only had 3 saves as well. So it's not like we're getting near the goalkeeper. These are off target, missing the mark. That's unacceptable for a team that wants to win a title, right? Because whether we say the goal's top 4 or not, we knew with the win here, it's a 5-point gap to first. We wanted to win the title. It's not happening. but we wanted to win the title. That was our goal. The other thing that blows my mind, and this probably is a lot to do with the referee more than anything, but we had 20 fouls committed. 20. That is an insanely high number of fouls. And a lot of them were soft. A lot of them were ridiculous. It was anytime there was a bit of contact, they were getting called. But don't put yourself in a position where the referee has to make a decision, because they're going to lean on the side of caution, right? They're going to say, I don't know, that's a 50-50. I'm not going to risk it, because if that is a foul, I don't want anything to happen. Blow the whistle. And
I'd say 15 of those were like in the final few minutes when Lazio were obviously trying to wind down the clock and time waste, and any bit of contact near the byline, the touchline, to go down and get the whistle, and that's good game management. We've done it. We'd want to do it. Unfortunately, that's just it. We've given some teams a shit housing this season. No two ways about it. And now it's happened to us. I just don't think we can cry foul. But I know.
No,
what you're saying,
I'm not crying
no,
foul.
I know. Yeah.
I'm saying we need to do better. We can't be giving away 19, right?
Yeah,
because
it's naive.
You have to know Lazio's up 1-0 with 10 minutes to go. We're now the team pushing, right? We were the team playing more aggressive. Looked like the momentum was in our favor. We need to be smarter than to allow these 50-50s, to allow them to go down on contact, because that's what teams do. Like you said, we do it. Every team does it. You need to be smarter. You need to neutralize that. The other thing is, how do we get 9 corners and we sign a guy in Fulkrug with the sole purpose of scoring headers, and he found 0 corners, 9 of them, and not all of them came when he was on, but the vast majority, like 6 or 7, came after he was subbed on, and he didn't find the ball on any of them. That guy's a lost cause. I don't understand why we're even wasting our time. At this point, we know we're not taking the option. Let him rot on the bench. You cannot tell me that 15 minutes of Fulkrug is better than 90 minutes of Leao, whether he's got tired legs or not. 90 minutes of tired leg Pulisic. 90 minutes of Nkunku. I take all 3 of them over 15 minutes of Fulkrug at this point. I'd even risk Santi Jimenez for 15 minutes at this point. Like,
by the end, he put Pavlovic up front because he knew that he had a better chance of winning something.
Yeah,
I mean, there were parts of the early 30 minutes that you were talking about where I was like, if anybody's going to take that Rabiot role of like, here's an entry into the box randomly and like maybe I can get a shot, it was Pavlovic. It was Pavlovic over anybody else who was actually going to get in the box and take a shot and win a header or whatever. I want to actually go back to something that you mentioned with the goal, right? Where you were talking about, where all I was talking about, like we played higher to kind of get, keep their forwards away. And Anthony had mentioned that like the goal had been coming, right? That Isaacson specifically had gotten a few opportunities, both against Pavlovic and Estupinian, where he's like playing in behind or just getting the ball to feet and then beating them for pace and all that, right? And I understand, okay, here's how you start, right? Here's how you set up the start. And then 15 minutes into the game, like the players should know, like, okay, this is something that's actually being exploited here, right? Like we came in expecting one thing, and that's not what's happening right now. Something else is happening, right? The question becomes, who amongst that line is who's going to be the one to say, hey, 5 yards back, right? How many times does he have to beat you before you shout at Estupiñán being like, just give him 5 yards. Give him 5 yards because he's clearly faster than you. And if you're level at the moment, he's going to beat you to it, right? Give him 5 yards. And if he gets it to feet, then fine, we'll recover. We'll try to whatever. If that's where the issue comes, then so be it. But we can't continue getting beaten over the top over and over and over again and just doing nothing. And the answer is none of them. None of them have the cachet, the experience, the confidence, whatever, to just be like the one who's analyzing the game as it's happening, the field general, all that shit, right? Like none of them is going to be the one to tell him like, yo, step back. Why are we hip to hip with a guy who's very much faster than you? You know what I'm saying?
Like, Maignan did that interview during the week about how he loves being a goalkeeper because he feels like the coach on the field who sees everything in front of him.
And he's supposed
As the
to
captain, he can also say, drop 10 lads because you're getting rinsed here. And it leads to, the moment where Isaacson's one-on-one and scores.
You're right. Actually, you're right. Mike is the one who's supposed to be doing that.
Allegri can because he's seen it all from the touchline and he sees that. I mean, he can't be happy with how that situation developed. I refuse to believe that that's by design. I do think we were playing with a higher line for reasons that would generate a tactical advantage in the second half, for example, when we had them under siege towards the end of the game. But that's kind of the game situation. But that can't be by design, to leave another case of being exposed in transition. But yeah, first half not good. Shall we come on to the Leao thing then? Because I'm conscious that's probably going to take up quite a bit of time here. This was what Bdair was saying about the surge into the box from Pavlovic that caused all kinds of chaos. Right there, that was Gila's. That was the one blot against Gila's performance, was that he got sidestepped by Pavlovic. He got dusted there. This is a little bit reductive, to bring it down to one screenshot where in that situation we'd all probably scream shoot, right? Even if it is a centre-back. But this is case number one of where Leao threw his arms about and said, you should have squared to me there. Can kind of understand it. There was also an opportunity to square before he beat Gila.
Yeah,
but,
this isn't even the most egregious screenshot from this moment. Like, there was a moment where Leao was more open than this even. And I mean, like you said, hindsight's 2020. Leao knows
Pavlovic
what
had
Leao
his
does.
cape on, he wanted to be the hero.
Pavlovic has a Stupinian celebration.
I'll just say that in the moment when this happened, I never even noticed Leao was there.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, of course not.
I never noticed Leao was there, and only after the fact, when people started bringing it up and showing the clip, that I realized, okay. But even then, right there in that screenshot, I don't actually think the pass is on, because I think that's exactly what that center back is playing. I can't remember what his name is. The Danish center. Yeah, that's exactly what he's playing. He's playing like, yes, please, like, come square at this ball so I can jump on it, right? What is annoying is that right after this this next move from Pavlovic is not a shot. It's one more touch, which then allows the center back to come back. Like, if he shoots right here, he probably scores, or at least he gets
got it
a
on
real
his left
shot
as
on
well,
target.
hasn't he?
Right,
Yeah.
or at least he gets a real shot on target. Like, maybe the keeper makes a save, whatever. But this is where he should have shot. Instead, he takes one more touch and he allows it. But I don't actually think the square was ever on at this point. You're right. Earlier, maybe he could have fizzed it across, but this one doesn't piss me off as much, because in the moment, I never even noticed that was there.
When
and we're the ones with the aerial view. It's like, if I didn't see him, then there's no way he saw him, right?
Yeah, that's true.
When you're inside the 8-yard box, fucking shoot. No one's gonna say, "Oh, you need to take a second." Like, when Fofana was in this box in the derby, and he stopped and looked around to see who was open and then lost possession, we were losing our mind, right? So how can we, I'm not going to blame Pavlovic for this, especially knowing he was the only one who really was getting chances like this. So it is what it is.
Doing his usual. Yeah. So I've got this this is taken from a compilation. I'm sure everyone's seen it.
Fantastic.
It's gone it's like the service we gave Leao, I think it was called. It's since been re-uploaded because it originally got taken down. But these are the screenshots that I got. So this was from the first half too. I tried to get the best sort of framing of the moment that I could for each of them. And again, apologies if you're not watching and you're listening to this. They say that, because it's in the eye of the person who made the compilation, I guess, that Salamanca should whip a ball around the back of the defence with his right foot here to find his running behind. I'm saying this is the least egregious of the ones. I think that's
a difficult pass.
I don't think Salamanca's even has this pass in his repertoire, to be honest with you.
Does he fuck? Not a chance.
No. If that was Modric on the ball, then all right, fine. But
he did actually. I think he played a pass. It will have either been before or after this in the first half, which was down the right channel, and it was the other side of Prosgard, and Leao goes out to meet it, and he doesn't get there. Like, there's not enough pace on the pass, so you can't say that he dropped that perfectly in behind the defense.
And Salamanca does play the pass. He sees the run and he plays the pass. He just doesn't put enough power on it, and it's a tough pass. But I saw this clip in that compilation that you're mentioning, and there was at least, me and Anthony were watching the game together. Like, we had shouted out, there was at least 5 instances before this where the pass just never came, right? Like, and that's the part that gets frustrating, is this pass comes, and if it's not successful, that's one thing, right? I can accept that it's not successful. It's a tough pass. But the problem is, when the pass doesn't come, you remove the stretching of the game. Right? If you keep feeding the ball in behind like that, what is every one of those center backs doing? Thinking, fuck me, I got to go back. I got to step 5 yards back because he's faster than me. Same thing we should have done with Isisen, but they would have figured, they would have been like, either they don't and we score, right? Or they all kind of move back, and that's where you get, like, look at how much space there is in the midfield there, right? Like, that's where you start developing. There's a giant gap between their midfield and their defense, right? And we didn't do that enough. where he made those runs. As much I've seen, even in this game, I've seen criticism of Leao. Well, Leao doesn't run. He's so lazy. He doesn't run. It's like he doesn't run off the ball. He's terrible as a presser. We all acknowledge that. But when we had the ball, he made every type of run. We did not find him, but he made every type of run to try to stretch the defense. And it was very much there earlier in the game.
And as you rightly say, like, you can make that run and it creates a pocket of space in behind. But where we'd normally, I'd say, have Rabiot pushing into that space to make something happen, or even Pulisic would drop off. Like here, Pulisic is, I can't remember what exactly led up to it, but he's playing left wing back here in this situation, Pulisic, when, maybe that's where you'd want him more in that second striker role. Jashari, as we said, he looked a bit timid throughout the game, so I don't think he was ever going to be the one to get on the ball between the lines and bang one in from the edge of the box. But it's like, you've got to take advantage of those moments, especially against the Sarri team that isn't going to give you too many of them, So one of them. Second half, this is where it gets a little bit... well, it clearly got too much for Leao, who boiled over, and we'll come to his reaction. But this is instance number 1. This is in 50-somethings minute.
This one, I lost my fucking mind. I was screaming.
He has to play the pass there because there's nothing else on. Like, if you zoom out...
No, there isn't.
There's literally nothing on, and he ends up playing a sideways pass back. And I'm like, bro, what are we doing here? We're down 1-0, right?
I mean, the lane is on as well. You can see daylight between Patrick and what I presume is Marusic on the right side there. Yeah. The lane is on. It doesn't even have to be a brilliant pass to find him. Would he have scored?
Yeah, but the thing is, Leao has caught his blind side perfectly. Like, as soon as he turns away, as soon as I think it's Marusic turns away, is when Leao darts. It's like, if you play that pass right now, he has no idea where Leao is. Now, again, this is the I've seen that thing about, like, well, if he plays the pass, does Leao score? And it was like, who gives a fuck? Like, what do you, what, how, I said,
did we score? Did we score anyway?
Right, again,
did we create a big chance?
Yeah, right, like, how does that affect whether you should play the pass or not? I don't, like, if you tell me fucking stupid. Well, actually, he's a bad example now. But let's say, like, if you tell, because I was about to say, if Stupinian was there, like, you still pass him if he doesn't score at this point. Maybe he does. But
well, actually, that's the perfect example of why you do it, right? Because if a guy like Stupinian could score from an overlap like that, why can Leao not? Like,
it's
or like if he gets goal side of him there, who's to say he doesn't put a hand on him? And then we're talking about a red card, there's so many like, anything can happen.
Or it gets saved, and it's a deflect, and there's a rebound, or just a million different things. It's just one of those things where it's like, we're not creating anything organically. Like, we're not creating anything where they're settled in defense, right? These are the only opportunities of us to get a goddamn ball in behind. And time again, they missed him. They missed to play the pass. And I've seen, there was one, I think Fofana played. There was one where he tried to find Leao behind, and he kind of got sandwiched between two defenders and lost it, right? And I've seen a lot of people say, "Well, this is what happens when you play him in behind." It's like there's 90 minutes. There's 90 whole minutes, right? You're supposed to be playing these speculative balls all the time, because it only needs to work once to get the equalizer. It only needs to work twice to win the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to put 20 of these in, and 18 of them fail, and 2 of them work, and we're here 2-1, and we're all jumping up and down saying there's 5 points and we're gonna win the fucking Scudetto. Like, those are the margins, and this is a team that has flirted with the margins the entire season, right? We can only win in the narrowest of margins. So the idea that, oh well, if the first pass doesn't work, that's you abandon it. Like, no. We need every single little inch of it to try to win a game. We've known that all season. We need every cross. Right.
Remember in the Scudetto season, we go a goal down in the run into obviously ended up winning the title. We go a goal down to an Immobile strike in this very fixture in the first half, and we had to engineer a second half comeback, to keep things alive. And what happened for the equalising goal? Leao got released down the left side and cut it back for a Giroud tap in to make it 1-1. We would go on to win the game, and obviously people look back at that Tonali winner as one of the most iconic moments in recent Milan years. So those are the margins, as you say. I'll show the second one now because it's a similar kind of discussion that we're having. It's the exact same. It's the exact same situation, but even closer to goal. So you know that if he gets on the end of that, then it's a very dangerous opportunity. Look, I mean,
he's already beat the defender here.
This is one touch.
He's too late stepping up. Yeah, it is. Yeah, 100%. And we've seen him score goals like this plenty. And again, no guarantees he would have scored this. But if the volume is there to put him through on goal enough, you've got to back him to eventually put one of them away. And then who knows what result we're talking about. I think I before we get onto the tops and flops and stuff, I was absolutely fine with Leao's performance, to be honest. Yes, there were a couple of sloppy bits to play with back to goal, but we know that that's never going to be his strength by now. In terms of doing the things that's asked of him to lead the line, it was nearly faultless. Like he's running off the shoulder like a proper number 9 in behind should do. He just wasn't found. And this is where I want to switch the discussion to Pulisic. Why is he not releasing it? Is he that low on confidence? Is there something more to it? Because that is bizarre to me. Like at any level, even me, I'm shittest player going with one knee. I see to play the pass there. Like, what? Yeah. Why is he not even trying it? Is it a confidence thing?
There was a moment in this game where I said, oh, he's in his own head. And it wasn't the lack of passes. This was just frustrating. I'm like, okay, bad decision making. But there was a moment where he was inside the box, kind of on the edge of it. His normal cut inside, curl it from the left-hand side. And he took a long pause before the shot, and it went fucking sky high, completely unmarked. And my thought said, he goes, this is my chance. Don't fuck it up. And he was so nervous that he did. And look, we're all human. We all get in our head, whatever. We make mistakes. I don't care. I want you to do the right thing. You are a piece on the chessboard for my entertainment in this moment, right? Like, that's the reality of it. They're athletes. I'm here to watch an entertaining product. Do the thing you're paid millions of dollars for. I don't know. I don't think that's. I mean, to agree. I mean, look, I just want to keep this going because I know I'm going to get heat after I just said that. I'm the biggest Pulisic fanboy on earth. Everyone, well, not on earth, but a pretty big one. I have the signed jersey right here next to me. The off camera, you guys can't see. Like, dude, I'm one of his biggest defenders. I will stick up for him for a lot of shit. I think he was one of, if not the worst player on the pitch in this game. I think his decision-making, his confidence, everything was bad. When Leao came off and Pulisic stayed, I was gobsmacked. The fact he stayed on the whole game, I believe, correct? I don't get it. Even Allegri said, in the moment, I thought Pulisic was doing well in this, blah, blah, blah. But he ended that quote with, and maybe I got it wrong. Because even he recognized it. Like, look, this is what I thought, and it was a mistake.
Fair play, by the way, for admitting, because he some coaches don't do that. Again, benefit of hindsight. We lost the game and stuff, so you look it through the lens of defeat. But yeah, fair enough for saying that. I mean, there was a paper. I think it was Corriere della Sera who said, it was Dazin. Sorry, they have someone there, to like by the sidelines as part of the broadcasting team to see what's going on. They said he was going to take Pulisic off. That was his plan, was to take him off, keep Leao out there, and change system. But when that thing happened and Leao, the Leao discussion is going to happen now.
He threw a fit.
He threw a fit. But I'll open it by saying I have no problems with him showing frustration for not receiving the pass on the pitch. But he did overstep the mark. The thing that I didn't like was after that second pass isn't played. Again, don't mind saying that I was on. But he basically doesn't get back onside. He takes long to get back into the play that it felt deliberate. And I think that's when Allegri decided, no, you're coming off. You don't do that. You're jeopardizing. You didn't get it this time. You didn't get it times before, but you can't do that. You can't walk around and not even try to get back onside. And then, of course, he comes off and we see the reaction. I'll display it here. And the one that really, like, I won't even say it made me angry. Do you know the thing that made me upset? Actually, to see, given the season that we're having, given the narrative going into this game, it's back on. Leao contract extension, great harmony in the dressing room, and all the stuff. To shove Allegri twice, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
I didn't mind it. To be honest, I actually back Rafa on all of this, except for staying offside, like you said, for extended time. Like that's unacceptable when I get it. I didn't see that, so I'll take your word for it. If that's why Allegri subbed him off, it makes sense. But his frustration is 100% warranted. And if the guy who just took me off when I think I've been done dirty, whether I have or not, but if that's where my headspace is then trying to pull me in and put it in my head, and it's like, get the fuck off me. Like, no, I'm not. I'm mad. And he's allowed to be mad. And I don't have
so
an
is he
issue with him
supposed to
pushing.
blank it? Is Allegri supposed to just blank him then? Because we've seen what happened with Igor Tudor. Like,
not at all.
player coming.
They both did exactly what I expected in this moment. Like, Allegri's going to say, I'm sorry, it's not like it is what it is. It's not this game. There'll be more to come. And Leao's supposed to be like, I'm the fucking guy. Like, I'm the star here. I'm the one who wins you games. Let me do that. Let me stay on here. This was the 66th minute. Like, there was plenty of time. He could have got a winner. He would have probably found an equalizer, in my opinion, versus what happened. And I saw Tare's reaction and thought he was mad that Leao was taken off as well. Maybe that's just because I was mad. Maybe it was, what are you doing pushing the coach? But look, Allegri has dealt with some big personalities before. This is nothing new. He wasn't shoved to the ground. It wasn't physical. It was more like, I don't want to hug right now. I'm pissed. And that's how I took it. And Allegri pulled him back. And so that's when the second one came. And you're going to get, if someone pushes you and you try to hug them and say, no, it's okay, we're friends, you're getting pushed a second time. That's reality. And then, he gets on the bench. He's pissed. He kicks the water bottle. We've seen that from every star in this sport. I have no issue with it. The reports that he then yelled at Christian in the locker room, I'm okay with that. When you care about the game and your team and this league, you're going to call that shit out. And guess what? I don't think Christian's going to shy away from it and be like, well, I don't want to play with Rafa anymore. He needs to leave, or I need to leave. Like, he's going to say,
What annoys me about
that
whole dressing room thing is that it gets out.
Yeah.
Those things should stay in there, man. Like, whoever the fuck has leaked that's a disgrace. Like, because these things must happen all the time at every single club. Like, you're going to get heated, fired up. These are athletes with egos and also a lot of pride in the club. Like that, we know that for a fact with Rafa. Given all the build up to the derby when he was talking about do or die and setting an example to teammates, saying we're not going out this week and stuff. All of a sudden, it's come out since this that he's been badly behaved himself off the field and has been showing up late to team meetings and stuff. And it's like, hang on, which is fucking true? Like, what? It's extended way beyond what it should have done, which is, and funnily enough, Olympico was the place of the cooling break saga, which I thought was overblown at the time as well. But you give the media ammo at the exact same place, they're going to take it, aren't they? But it could have been something that was kept so in the moment and instead has turned into this. We're now evaluating offers for him. And by the way, Antonio Nusa is coming to replace him in the summer. Like, where's this come from? All of a sudden, they're this all-seeing eye and they know everything that's happened beforehand.
And they were hiding it before, right? He was a piece of shit for the past month, but because of their benevolent hearts, right? They decided not to say it.
Oh, God.
Well, and think about all the interviews before the derby with Leao saying, like, this is the most important game of our lives. Like, stay home, don't go out. Like, you need to focus and lock in. That's the guy who's acting up. That's the guy who's been unprofessional, late to meetings. Like, give me a break. I'm not saying
it's possible.
Hasn't.
I mean,
I know
it's possible that he could
situations, but it's like, come on, this was a big one. I know he for the Australia game after the season, the Roma thing that was ridiculous bullshit. He slept in and missed the flight. Like, legitimately, that's what he claimed happened, and that's why he didn't travel. Whatever. Who gives a fuck? Like, I know he had some behavioral issues with Conceição and Fonseca. Whatever. That's in the past. He has not shown any of that, at least public facing, with Allegri here, and his on-pitch performances to me show some, not a changed man, but someone a lot more focused, a lot more dedicated, who is being more professional and upstanding. And I think this is just the overflowing of emotion and frustration because he cares. If this guy didn't give a shit about the game or the team or the league or any of that, he would have just walked right off, whatever. It would have been a cooling break situation, which showed he didn't care. This shows he does. This shows he was fired up. If he yelled at Christian in the locker room, I have no problem with that. He was frustrated, and it proved that keeping Christian on wasn't going to win you the game. It wasn't even going to equalize. So it is what it is. Christian's not going to cry about it. He's not going to shy away. He's probably going to say, yeah, I need to do better, because that's the type of athlete he is too. Like, he's going to recognize it. Probably fired back and defended himself in the moment. But in hindsight, he's probably come down and said, yeah, maybe Rafa and I need to work better together, because we haven't scored a fucking goal since the first derby when they played together for the first time. This is now game 11. And they have one combined goal while on the pitch together. 0 combined assists. Come on.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, as much as I don't like that it gets out, because, as I say, I think these things should stay in the dressing room between the people involved. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that. And, like, Leao's obviously gone after Pulisic and been like, why didn't you pass to me on multiple occasions I was through? What Pulisic's argument back would have been? Would he have said, well, you shit? That's why, because I can see how that quickly kicked off. But genuinely, what did you say back to make it an altercation that Allegri needed to step in between? I don't know. It's funny.
I think. By the way, I'm gonna check in as Leo's lawyer right here. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
As my co-lawyer Anthony has already stated some of the case. No, listen. First of all, do I want him to okay, there is an ideal world where he handles this better, right? And I would love to live in that world where he's frustrated and he leaves it for the locker room and he gives Pulisic the shit he deserves, right? But he leaves in the locker room and he walks off. He takes Allegri's hug, goes and sits down. Fine, maybe then he can go throw a temper tantrum when he's on the bench. That I don't think anybody cares about that. It's the whole lead up to that, right? I'd love to live in that world. But since we don't, like Anthony said, I'm completely we've all done this. We've all done this. Got in a fight with somebody has upset us, right? And then they try to do the whole physical contact thing. No, nobody wants that in that moment. Everybody's like, come on, man, get the fuck off me, right? Everybody's done this. Mm-hmm. Now, so the whole pushing Allegri thing, and I think Allegri, the reason why this idea that the relationship is so damaged is so nonsense, because Allegri himself in the press conference after just said all the right things, as he always does. He admitted, maybe I made a mistake. It's fine. And even in the reports about the fight in the locker room between Pulisic and Leao, they said he calmed it down, he kept it chill, right? It's not he lost his mind at both of them and fucking you're suspended and he toned it down. Because he understands, you want to win titles and you want to win games. This is what it's supposed to look like, right? I've said this before. I've said this about Mohamed Salah. I've said this about a lot of different players, right? But
what did you say?
About who?
Mohamed Salah.
My goodness. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. You didn't say that wide enough for me. I was really confused.
I forget he's Egyptian. Sorry.
No, you're good. But I've said this about a lot of players where it's the player who is fine with coming off is not the player I want to be my star, right? This is the fundamental reality. Are you every Milan fan has to ask themselves, right? Would you rather he not be upset at being subbed off? Because what he's saying, by the way, when he gets to Allegri and he's doing this whole thing with his hands, what is he saying? He's saying there's 20 minutes left. Let me try to win.
Word for word, that is what he said. He said there's 20 minutes left. Leave me on. Yeah.
Right. So this is not a player saying, "Fuck this. I hate this club. This is a player saying, dude, I wanna die for these next 2 minutes. I want to try to win the game here, right? This is not a player who thinks he's played amazing. This is not a player who thinks he's done everything he's supposed to be doing in these last 70 minutes. But this is a player who's fuck, man. I recognize the situation, and I really want to be the one. I want to be part of the solution, right? And every Milan fan has to reckon with themselves. Would you rather he not give a shit? Because there's only two alternatives. If he gives a shit, he's pissed, right? Should he handle that anger better? Yes. But do you want him angry or do you want him not to care, right? Agreed. And if anybody says he wants him not to care, then you're not a Milan fan. Because I'm angry and I'm a fucking fan. If I want those players to reflect my emotions. I want them all to be pissed. Why the hell are they 1-0? Why are we 1-0 down to Lazio? And again, he's coming from an earnest place. That's the reality. If any conversation that we can have every conversation after that, but it has to start from there. He's coming from a place of I want to play for this club and I want to try to win a game for this club.
Well said, yeah. Fully agree with that. Fully agree. And also, I've seen some people having a go at Tare as well because, knowing that the cameras are on him, he clearly has a bit of an outburst himself saying, what is he doing? How can he... The plot twist is when that was actually aimed at Allegri and he sacks him this week. But I don't mind that either because, again, that's someone who's going back to his home, Lazio, where he spent over 10 years of his career. And he's fired up as well. He's like, what's going on?
Yeah. I think taking aim at him is crazy because the directors are on camera for a combined 7 seconds of a 90-minute match.
Right. He could have easily thought He wasn't going to be on.
Yeah. I mean,
and also, we saw Paolo Maldini used to sit there in the stands and show very little emotion at all. And you want to tell me there's anyone who cares more about the club than him? So, like, I don't mind it. I don't mind. And if it came across that I was having a pop at Leao before, I wasn't. I wasn't angry with it. I was just sad to see that. That's all. Because of all the
we
talk
all
of the
wanted
hand.
it. We all wanted it to look differently.
As you said, rightly, you need this to win. You need that burning competitive spirit, because otherwise the headlines would be about him not having the fire inside, and he's going to Saudi in the summer. We've just ended up at the same place, but through a different means, I suppose.
Because they're horny for that headline, though. That's the thing. Like they are. This is the reality is there's no scenario where this isn't the headline, where he isn't the headline. We lose 1-0 and he plays the full 90 minutes and he doesn't score, he's the headline. Right? We lose 1-0 and he comes off and he doesn't say shit. He's the headline. Like, the reality is this is a guy who has shown zero behavioral issues, realistically, right? Like, real behavioral issues, right? Nobody has ever come out and said, this is a guy who doesn't practice hard. This is a guy who doesn't try. This is a guy who doesn't care about the club. Nobody's ever come and said that in 5-6 years at Milan, right? This is a guy who we know.
I think it's happened.
It probably has happened, but
they've benched him. They've benched him for his effort off the ball on the pitch. That's a stylistic thing, right? But I don't think anybody's come out and said this guy doesn't give a shit.
I think Zlatan said he was the only player he couldn't get through to. I mean, obviously, eventually he did, but I think there were a few comments. But regardless, your point stands.
Yeah, but how do you measure giving a shit, right? Mm-hmm. Like, is it purely because he doesn't run 12 kilometers a game, or is it because,
which he's never going to do? Because he could listen. This is the thing with him, okay? And it's an issue. It's one of his big drawbacks. But there is a limit. There is, like, we talk about motor, right? We talk about engine when we talk about midfielders, for example, and people often talk about it like it's a purely physical thing. Like, can you run a lot physically, right? It's not just that. It's do you have the mental will to every single moment of the game be running? Like, when you see Tonali in the 93rd minute running, it's not just that he's physically capable. It's that there's something in his brain that says run. Because I'm telling you, he's tired. But when I'm tired, I'm like, fuck this, I'm not running. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the different switch. And Leao is like that. Leao has never had the motor, right? He saves it all for when we have the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've always known that that's a thing. And there's coaches that have had issues with that from a stylistic point of view. They all want him to be something that he's not, or at least Fonseca and Conceição. He's never going to be that. And Pioli showed that. Yes. See, this is the thing. This is
I've seen this doing the rounds on Twitter, and I think it needs addressing.
Yes.
What do you expect from him? And also, we play in the lowest pressing team in Europe's top 5 leagues. So why are you displaying a lot of pressing stats?
And the guy who did this also showed, like, last season he wasn't that much better. Like, he was marginally better, but like not that much better compared to other left wingers. It's like, again, yes, he's a terrible pressing player. He's terrible when we don't have the ball, right? That's a fact of life. But when we won the Scudetto, what was our, as a tactic, what was our very clear, defining characteristic? We pressed, right? Hell, we pressed very, very well with Giroud and Leao, both of whom didn't move when we didn't have the ball. So I've always lamented the idea that Fonseca and Conceição sponsored, that you can't have a competent press when a guy isn't contributing off the ball. It's just not true. The first 3 years of Pioli proved that was not true, right? You had 2 guys who were passengers off the ball, and we still, again, we had we had Kessie and Tonali and Benassa, and like those were special physical midfielders, right? And I understand, but you have to build a certain squad to get to this stage, but it can be done. And Allegri has looked at our squad, realized that we probably can't be a good pressing team with the core that we have, and decided, fuck it, just not gonna press. And that was the right decision.
It's also a byproduct as well of, like, shore up the back first, right? You don't go hair-arsing from the front to then leave 50 meters between departments. All right, okay, let's do tops and flops for this one. Tops, difficult. There weren't many brilliant players in this one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even like Modric, when Modric does it, this is a whole other thing, but when he doesn't have his, I don't want to say his handheld because that's disrespectful to a player of his quality, but when Rabiot is not there, he's just off it by 20% on everything.
Well, and I do think a lot of that is just like the chemistry is not there with Jashari because he doesn't get playing time, right? And
it's a completely different role. Yeah, because when Jashari is there, it's basically a double pivot.
exactly.
And Fofana is above. And they both kind of want to do the same thing on the ball. They both want to like be the ones to control and contain possession and all that stuff. And when I wish we played them earlier. So they could build a more of a rapport. But it is what it is.
Yeah, for me, I guess top has got to go to either De Winter or Pavlovic. But I don't even feel 100% comfy doing that. Like I really don't have a top. I can't even point to a moment other than a few really good bits of contact with Maldini from De Winter, but that's it. If we just skip top, I'm good,
Yeah, I'd probably go Pavlovic, but
same. I think Pavlovic in the second half was really good.
Yeah, he's the one who, no matter what the circumstances, just wants to be a warrior, and I think there'll always be, sometimes too much, as we've discussed before. But I think in a situation like this, it really stands out how much he's just trying to impact things in a positive way. Flop, take your pick, but I'm going to go Estupiñán because of the situation that led to the decisive moment. I don't really want to.
Unfortunately, we're spoiled for choice here. I want to pick Pulisic. I want to pick Salamakers. I want to pick Modric. I want to pick Jashari. I want to pick Tomori. I want to pick Fulkrug. I want to pick Mignon. I want to pick Allegri, but I have to go Estupiñán because he was the worst of the bunch, which is really impressive.
I'll go Pulisic, even though Estupiñán is also a good answer, but I'll go Pulisic just because not only did he cost us the chance to create a bunch of chances, he also sent the whole fucking club into turmoil. Now everybody's getting sold and everybody's leaving.
Him too.
Yeah, every renewal's
he's
paused.
Going to Arsenal. Did you not hear? He's going to Arsenal. Actually.
Yeah, going to Arsenal. Yeah.
Right, and now there's many foreign clubs being, and the price tag is 70. That's another thing, by the way. Sorry, I know we've discussed this, the three of us, but there's still Milan fans that live in this deluded reality that we'll sell Leao for 100 million and rebuild this. I'm like, bro, what 100 million? Do you think we're the only ones with the internet? These guys think we're the only ones with the internet? You can't be simultaneously being like, sell this guy, fuck off, and let's get 100 million. It's like the other clubs see that. They know what he's injured. He's been playing out of position. Like, this is the lowest we could possibly sell him for. 60 million, I'm telling you. That's what it ended up being if he does.
I think 50, 60. I mean, his deal runs out in 2028, so it's not an absolute emergency, and maybe we'd still renew him to get a bit of leverage on that front. But Brentford don't have 100 million, and that's where Leao is ending up, I'm afraid. I don't believe that. But Pulisic to Villa, Leao to Brentford. That's where we're going. All right, let's move on then and quickly preview Torino. I couldn't have told you before I looked for this where Torino are in the league, but I knew that they'd won 4-1 at the weekend against Parma, who, are not exactly world beaters, but are actually above them in the table at this point. But Torino are 14th in the league. They are 9 points clear of the drop zone, so they don't have to worry about relegation. And they're not on an amazing run by the looks of things. Prior to that, they lost away against Napoli. They beat Lazio 2-0 at home, so that should set the warning bells ringing. But lost 3-0 away at Genoa, lost 2-1 at home to Bologna, who were kind of out of sorts before that. So they're an up-and-down team. They're still a danger to us, it seems. Like, no matter what the circumstances are, we struggle against Torino home and away. We had to come from 2 goals down away in this season to win 3-2. They're an obstacle for us to overcome. And I tell you what, I don't feel confident about this at all.
Yeah, I think we might collapse here. We're overperforming this season in terms of our goals scored and all that stuff. And I think we are the top candidates for a late season regression, honestly, especially after the Lazio game. I would not be shocked. I mean, Torino has scored a lot in their last few games here as well. They've done decent. Yes, they're sitting, what would you say, 12, 14, something like that? They're not a good team by any means, but they are scoring goals. So if our issue now is we can't score goals and their only strength is that they can, it doesn't bode well for us. I have predicted a win in most every game this season, so I'm just going to not do that today. I'm
just not predict anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. This has 2-1 loss written on it, and I think it's another. We go down by 2, and we claw 1 back late, and it's just too little, too late. And it's gonna be Pulisic, and then all the rumors are gonna fly even more.
I'm gonna say 2-1 win.
Okay.
I think. Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say we're 7 points over off of 5th, so we have a good cushion. There's certainly a lot less to play for now. There's a lot less pressure and all that, and I think they'll probably just come out, be professional, win a game, maybe. Who knows at this point?
We're banking on professionalism after what we've just seen at the weekend. That's
I think they'll want to flex their professional muscles now.
Yeah, that's good.
Clowns previously.
That's one thing you can say. Of course, we'd only lost. I mean, we'd lost 2 games in the league prior to this, right? One was in round 1, and we responded very well after that. And then we lost at home to Parma, and we stabilised and responded well to that. I don't think Allegri will allow this team to go into a tailspin, especially given that the break's coming up after this, so it's a chance to recharge and get energy back. Yeah. So we can actually go for it a bit more, I think, now, because if it had been 5 points, you're probably still in that hesitant thing of like, we can't afford a misstep. We just got to keep doing our thing, getting these 1-0s, 2-1s, whatever it might be. Whereas now it's a bit like, let's open up the gearbox a little bit, if that's even an expression, whatever. 3-5-2 Torino play. Let's not talk about car problems. Sorry, AJ. 3-5-2 Torino play. Pagliari in goal, Sal Coco, Ismaili, and Ebossi as the back 3. This was from the last game against Parma, by the way. Pedersen and Obrador, the wing backs. Vlasic, who is their top for goal contributions this season. Ilkhan and Ginetis were the midfield 3. Shea Adams and Giovanni Simeone up front. Simeone, I think, has come into a bit of form. He's their top scorer this season on 7 goals. But yeah, it's another team that will match us up in terms of system. But in that game, they brought on, off the bench, again, exposing our lack of depth as a squad compared to even middle, lower-end teams in the table. Duvan Zapata came off the bench. Matteo Prati, who I really like, I think he's a good young midfielder. Tino Angerin, once of Huddersfield. Luca Marianucci, who was signed by Napoli, is that right? And then loaned out to them, I think. And Kulinovic, I mean, whatever. But yeah, they've options. Duvan Zapata always scores against us, literally always. So there's that. I'm going 1-1. I'm going down the middle of you two. I don't think we win this.
The good news is one of us were correct.
Yeah.
I mean, we picked all 3 options, so one of us will be right.
Yeah, you're right. I thought you meant past tense. One of us was correct. Yeah. Okay. We got a load of questions, but I'm saving them. We're doing a mailbag special this week on the bonus pod later in the week. So stay tuned for that. Question about formations, individuals. Bringing back a player from the banter era, I think, was one of them. That'll be fun. So we'll do that on the bonus pod later in the week because we've spoken enough. I was going to do something on Leao, but we've spoken enough about him there, I think. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for listening to what ended up being a therapy, counselling session, whatever you want to call it. But, it was good to gather the 3 of us lads here for this. And, stay tuned. It's not over yet, right? It's not over yet. We can still miss out on top 4. There's plenty to play for between now and the end of the season. We're back later in the week for the bonus pod, as mentioned, back early next week for the recap of Torino, then going into the international break. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ, cheers for joining.
Yep, I'll be here until I die, so fingers crossed, sooner than later.
You're going to do this until you die? Is that the implication? You'll be 80 years old talking about...
If I make it to 80, that'd be shocking, but yeah. Anyways.
Okay. Bdair, cheers.
Man. Yeah, thanks for having me, and maybe better game next time.
Yeah.